Okay, so any recommended nominations?
I nominate Wayne Runnigan. Larry has been chairman and so has Ken Anderson, so it must be his turn. I think
I
he's
think it's
senior
kind of
now.
right to rotate a little bit.
They do with the commissioner.
Yep.
And he's been on there longer than I have. I think.
I'll go along, I'll second that.
Okay. So. Vote on it?
Okay,
All right.
I'll give her a try, just
All
to know that I'm not
Alright.
perfect.
Where none of us are.
Okay, well, I'll just do. We'll do Ken Anderson.
Aye.
Very happy.
Yeah,
Franklin on.
I
You get to vote for yourself.
I'll nominate Ken Anderson as the alternate
So then for the vice chairman, chairperson,
chair.
we're seeking nominations for that.
Ken Anderson.
Franklin,
We got two.
So there was no second to Larry's nomination
For Ken's.
for Ken? Is that what you're doing, was nominating Franklin?
yes,
But yeah, we're looking for the vice chairperson, we're looking for a second
To which one?
for the vice chairperson.
But I nominated him.
Okay,
Yeah, that was.
And we not,
okay,
Was the nomination for Ken Anderson as vice chair.
but then I thought,
Yeah, is there a second for that?
so I thought Wayne
nominated.
nominated Franklin. Wow,
But that was the first one.
well, I can,
okay,
I can.
okay, sorry.
Maybe.
Is there a second for Ken? Vice chair. For a second.
Maybe I'm doing that incorrectly.
Well, I'm thinking they both need it. Do they both need a second?
Well, if there's no second for my nomination, then we go to the next.
Yeah,
Okay,
And I'll second that nomination.
okay. All right, so then,
So you're seconding Wayne's nomination of Franklin?
Yes.
you should have. The chairman is the last one that comes late, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
You're the chairman.
Yeah, we volunteered you for a lot of things, Ken.
Easy. Voluntary.
You're the secretary and.
Yeah, I got it.
okay, so we're voting on Franklin for the vice chairperson.
Yep.
I'll do a roll. Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Larry Hafner,
Aye.
Franklin Hahn,
Aye.
Wayne Ronigan.
Aye.
Ken Visser.
I,
Okay. Right, then
Ahead of time.
the motion for the October 27th, 2022.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 27th meeting.
And I'll second it.
That was Wayne, second.
Me.
Larry.
Did Ashley call?
Yeah, it's gonna be on Zoom, he said.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to get him on Zoom. So it's gonna be smarter for me to get
She should be connecting.
Okay,
Vote on the minutes. Made a motion in a second.
Motion and seconded for the
The minutes,
It's
minutes.
been done. but
Yep.
don't
All
vote
in
on it.
favor, say aye.
Alright,
Opposed? Carries.
looking like. I think she's on.
So
No, you're welcome.
we'll call a meeting to order. Roll call.
And Anderson.
Present.
here, here,
Here.
And this.
So do we wait till Ashley appears?
She is, she's on,
Okay.
on Zoom.
Okay.
Actually, can you hear everyone?
Going. Is she here, please? Should I? Please?
Can you see her?
No,
Okay, I was gonna say we can.
what's the three? Basically by hers, we've got the she got-
Right, it would be that.
what's three dots?
That's is generally a menu.
Maybe she's having issues.
3 dots is a menu.
Saying,
Hello?
Yep, there we go.
Oh, hi, sorry, I'm so new with this.
That's okay.
Are you supposed to be able to see me or should I be able to see you?
I think we can
It'd
do
be
it.
nice.
I think we can do it with just words.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, all right. Yeah, I can hear you guys now, so that's good.
I will read the notice of the public hearing.
alright,
Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirement. Dylan Kearns and Ashley Kearns, Money Creek Township. It's in the southeast quarter, the southwest quarter, section 7, township 104, range 6, Houston County, Minnesota. It's a variance of setback requirements to reduce side yard setbacks for an existing dwelling, section 14.8 subdivision 1. Hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, 5:20 p.m. on Thursday, January 26, 2023. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or email to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us. It must be received by Wednesday, January 18, 2023. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Planning Commission prior to the meeting. Houston County Planning Commission.
Okay, Ashley, you want to
Yeah,
make any comments?
Uh,
About
no. No, I'm just hoping to get a permit. I just tore down a garage and I want to put a new one up for more storage.
Okay, and you're gonna have 2 doors in it? 2 garage doors in it?
Nope, I'll just have one big garage door and then there'll be like 2 side doors.
Okay, walk-in doors.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I want to have a bathroom in there for convenience and then I'm heating it with the in-floor heat. For efficiency, I guess.
Any questions from any of the board members, starting with Franklin?
Well, are you gonna have a holding tank or have you got a septic system or that you're gonna tie into from the house?
Yep, my dad redid the septic system, I believe. Oh, what did Amelia say, like 13 years ago? And I mean, it's just gonna be the one bathroom in there. So I mean, and it won't, I don't even know how often it'll be used. So I was just gonna tie into the old well that's there and the old the septic that's there as well.
Okay, Ken Anderson,
No question.
Larry?
I'm a little concerned with tying into that May trip. Requiring a evaluation of that system.
Well, I mean, the existing house that's there that my brother lives in, and it's a 4-bedroom house, and it's just my brother there. There's not anyone else living there. So really, there's only one person living with that big septic system, and that's all
It's-
it will be.
It's not an addition of a bedroom. In
Okay,
terms of design.
No, it's just a garage. The other one, the sun would shine through the roof, and it was just pretty old. And I like to work on vehicles, and I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to tear that one down and put up I'm going to put a lift system in there for the vehicles. There's a couple cars there I already got to work on, and
yeah.
I'm a
I
construction worker,
understand that,
and that's just like my side job.
But I was just interested in if that was gonna mandate that, like it is if you do an addition with the bedroom. But
Oh.
I'm guessing that there would not be necessary to do.
Correct.
Yeah, no,
because
it's just,
anything that
storage.
is, you test it.
I think what Larry is getting at is they're gonna have a backup here or something if aren't you more too?
No, I'm just,
Have
I'm
a
just,
backup if you hooked into it?
Well, okay, I think what Larry's getting at is, it's a question of, is it additional design flow that would go to? the
Oh,
system?
extra. Oh, I
And so
got you.
there's so many bedrooms now, in terms of how much that house was designed for. It isn't a matter of whether there's one person living there or things like that. It's a matter of you design for the capacity of the system. So it was designed for 4 bedrooms, it was built 13 years ago. That'd be 600 gallons per minute, or 600 gallons a day. But the addition of a bathroom in the garage isn't considered to be a big source that
okay,
contributes to it.
so we should be good with that.
We should be good.
All right, that's all I'm not trying to hold this up, but
Yep.
it just,
Just
No,
got
thank you, and
questions.
I
That's good.
appreciate what you guys, that's good.
well, and it's good to do that now rather than after you've started and somebody asks the question.
Right, well, and then down the road, and if it would, mess something up, which I don't foresee that, but I mean, you guys know more about this stuff than me.
Well, like I said, it's just, if somebody asks you, you can say, yes, we discussed that, and it's all right.
Correct, yep. Great.
Okay, Ken,
The trigger for septic system lies within your office, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
it's not something beyond our.
We can make that call.
Right.
And we do.
okay, any
And
more
then
questions?
No, I was just gonna say, I will have, you guys had asked for Greg to show how he tied it in, and I'll definitely have him take a picture or he's the plumber, not me, obviously, but let you guys know how it was tied in and where it's tied in at, so you have it on record.
Get an as-built of the connection.
Sure.
Greg Larson is my plumber.
Okay, is there any more questions from the board? All right. Any comments from members of the public? I don't see anybody here, so. Yeah, they're being quiet. Additional questions from the board? After all testimony evidence has been presented, ask Board of Adjustment members for general discussion.
Well, I should read the to explain. It's, what we're here for is for the variance, not here really for the building. As a result of the building submittal, we evaluated the site for any non-conformities. It turns out there wasn't, which is with the house. So that's why we're here. So I'll go through the staff notes on that.
Okay,
The variance is proposed to correct the nonconformity due to a 1994 property split, whereby the dwelling is located approximately 35 feet from the property line. At the time of the property split, the 1993 rules applied requiring a 50-foot side yard from dwelling to the property line in the Ag Protection District. This 50-foot setback number still applies. The approximate setbacks are shown below with 30 in packet. 35 feet from the east property line, 94 from the center line of the highway. 50 foot from the side yard setback in section 14.7.2. The 100 foot on the center line of the highway doesn't really apply because the house was built in 1890 and the road actually approached on the house. So the house was there before the road. So that one, in terms of that setback, it's not applicable in this situation. So the then let's see, it's comprised of a 1.08 acre lot adjacent to County Highway 26. It has a dwelling and one outbuilding. The outbuilding she just referenced that's being torn down. Shop is being proposed to replace the existing outbuilding. And as I alluded to, the dwelling found the non-conformance. The parcel split separated the dwelling and the outbuilding from the total acres and created a non-conformance by not 50 foot side yard setback based on the 1992 ordinance. A variance from the east property line is needed to meet the 50-foot setback requirement in section 13.8 sub D1 for minimum side yard setback. Performance standards under 1993 Houston County ordinance, which is not exactly the number today, was 603.5, and it's still required the 50 feet. So it was non-conforming in 1993. This was done. It's not a case of the rule coming in later. It's a case of coming in. Proposed new shop dimensions are 32 by 15. Sorry, 32 by 52 by 16, which will about double the size of the existing building. They will meet the septic as we had discussed, the setbacks and the other zoning requirements for the proposed building. Slopes are minimal, the soils, for drainage characteristics, but the tillable acres have already been separated out. The house and the outbuilding were constructed in 1898 and they're located close to Money Creek. Money Creek Township and the 10 closest property owners were notified. No comments were received from the public. That's basically about it. It's really just side yard variance.
yeah, so what actually happened was there was one owner with the cornfield and the house and everything. Well, he sold off the house and he made the line closer to the house than it should have been. It's not 50 feet, it's 35. Right. And the road encroached the house also, so they're just kind of getting squeezed in there.
Right.
And that's how it is, and the landowner agrees to that. So,
Yeah.
And the previous owner did call me and ask me about it, and I discussed with him that it was a case of correcting 1993 non-conformance. And he understood it. His exact words, he said, "My dad did."
good. Okay, then, is there a motion to entertain?
Well, I can,
Gotta go through the finding.
yes, we need to read the go through the findings.
Okay.
So, no other questions on that? Staff knows.
Does anybody have an objection to this? It seems pretty straightforward.
That's why I'm just skipping.
But
I think we
do-
have to
I
go
do
through
need
the
to go-
finance
sorry, I
report.
do need- I do need to go
I
through
was
it.
trying to get away.
I'll read fast. And I'll talk loud. Okay, findings required. The variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Staff analysis, the residents and the associated structure are allowed in egg protection districts. Being located in the property split acreage preserves the commercial agriculture in the adjoining parcel, which is a goal of the comprehensive land use plan. This is in harmony with the general trend, increasing farm size. Commercial farmers require additional cropland, but do not necessarily require additional farm size.
And I think basically a lot of it, the crop split was preserving ag land rather than, that was,
Yeah.
and that's one of our criteria in our zoning. So I have no problem with any of this stuff.
Okay,
Then, so we need to vote.
Vote on the
Vote on,
is there a
Okay.
motion to approve or deny the request of a variance?
Well, no, we're not.
No,
We're not-
we're not-
we
We're just doing.
we gotta
Okay.
go through
Just
Finding.
the first line,
all in favor for the
call for the
Fin-
plan.
finding.
no, finding number one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We gotta go through all these.
Yeah.
We do that all the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Page 3.
Okay, so Ken Anderson.
Aye.
Larry Haffner,
Aye.
Franklin Hahn,
Aye.
Wayne Monaghan,
yes,
Ken Bisker. Number two, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulty. Staff analysis concerning the existing dwelling, any resolution other than a variance would involve the acquisition of additional land, which necessitates the will and sale.
I could make a suggestion. We could have just an oral vote on these findings. can't
Sure.
we?
Yep.
Mr.
Yep,
Chairman?
absolutely.
All in favor, should say aye.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number three, the variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, the 1994 property split created a non-conforming parcel, which is a special condition not created by.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number
Opposed?
four,
Carries.
Number four, the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulties. Staff analysis, the board may find that the variance related to the existing dwelling is the only way to feasibly resolve the setback issue, and that the variance to the 50-foot side yard setback is the minimum variance with limited buildable space on the property.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number five, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, granting the variance will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above. Additionally, the replacement shop is not anticipated to have any effect on the above criteria. The existing building and the proposed shop are blocked from most view sheds by terrain and trees. The new shop will be connected to the dwelling septic system, which is being addressed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number six, the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district. Permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by state law. Staff analysis, the granting of the variance to the side yard setback requirements for a single family dwelling in the agricultural protection district does not conflict with any restricted use. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the request.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll
Opposed?
make a motion to accept the findings.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Promote motion or grant following the 50 variance with documentation as you stated, make that motion.
Was that a motion then?
To grant the variance
Grant a variance of 15
as
feet
recommended with the recommendation.
to reduce the side yard setback for an existing dwelling. The Here's the condition. Construction documentation with setback distance to the east property line shall be submitted to the zoning office within 30 days.
All in favor, is there a second to that?
I'll say.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
vote.
no. Okay, what's next?
So that takes care of that part.
Sure.
Then,
Have you explained that?
okay, actually, yeah, what was just approved is your variance 15 feet from your 50-foot side yard setback was just approved by the Board of Adjustment.
Okay,
and then-
thank you. I appreciate that.
And then the one condition will be is that you give us the documentation for the side yard demonstration measured perpendicular to the house. So I think,
It's in the exact same spot as the other garage was. It's just. I don't know if, maybe I was
No,
told it
not
had to be
garage,
50
that's
feet
the house.
from. Oh, the house. Okay.
It's the house, the house.
The house.
So I still do need to get it surveyed.
If you can find those lines, if you can find a post or establish those, then you can certainly work off of those.
Okay.
I guess then,
No, I think that's it.
after the, meeting,
No further hearing.
well, yes. Then the last thing we have is,
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, you don't need to sound the rest of it actually.
unless you want to. But the other business that we have is, Franklin will continue discussion on non-building.
Well, the reason I brought that up is I thought it'd be nice for all the board to know how Marty was gonna handle these. What procedure he went through if a applicant comes in and wants apply for a building permit. But last meeting got to be shouting and hollering and I couldn't hear and nobody else could. And so that's why I had to get on the agenda, so I thought it'd be good for all the board to know exactly. So I'll
Okay.
let Marty explain it again.
Basically, the non-buildable lots, and obviously, we're looking at what district they're in. And then we're looking at the setbacks, front, back, sides. We're looking at the frontage area for the road. We're looking at the slope of the road. We're looking at the access into it for emergency vehicles, those type of things. We're looking at the amount of area that's available with slopes, which was the issue with Horse Steep Ridge, is that it has to be under the 24% or less. And in that instance, the problem that we run into was there was just so little area. It had 3.5 acres land, but I think it was 7,000 square feet in total with the entire, which an acre is 43, so we're talking about 130,000 square feet. That was less than 24%. Otherwise, the rest of the site was that steeper. And the thing to realize is that it isn't like it's just greater than 24%. It's like some of this is 30, 35%. And you get into the situation when you get over 3-to-1 slopes, then all of a sudden Minnesota building code starts to apply. And so the design starts to get pretty unique. Plus, you get into situations where, say, the septic system acted up, overloaded, it created a saturated condition. You just have a number of circumstances where your margin of errors just drop off incredibly. Another factor in talking about the 7,000 square feet is that we have to have 2 locations for a septic system. You know, and in this situation, you would likely be doing an alternative system, but you still have to have 2 locations for that. So that consumes area too, plus the garage, plus the driveway, all these other factors that play in. The other thing that was considered in that one, in terms of the slope of the driveway, as an example, it was a big giant rock outcrop. And the slopes were probably 35% in part of that, if not almost 90. So it was a case of, are they gonna drill and, you know, can they come with the road sideways and make 3 turns, which emergency vehicles probably couldn't get in there. I mean, so the list of things that we had that precluded building were tremendous. It wasn't a case of just trying to automatically say no. It was, what can we find that, you know, how can we fit this in? And that's how we try to go about when somebody comes into the building permit, says, I want to do this, or even better, if they come in before they submit, thinking about this, where we could say to them, please take a look at all these factors, and then try to adjust your design, and then all of a sudden, the design goes a lot.
Did I miss something in a meeting? I don't remember what you just described, yelling and that's.
Well, what happened last time, usually when the chairman gets done with the meeting, normally he says, is there anything that the board would like to discuss before we adjourn? Last meeting, the chairman said, the next thing on the agenda is to adjourn. You seconded, you made the motion, you seconded, and I said, wait a minute, I wanted to talk about this. I'm not picking this thing apart. I just thought it'd be nice for the board to know this. Then you and Ken stood behind me and hollered, and you won't deny it. When Marty was trying to explain to Larry and Wayne and I about this, so that's why I was on the agenda.
I have no memory of hollering at you.
Well, I don't remember yelling about, but we talked about some stuff after.
So now, question to you now, Marty.
I'm not gonna.
So when an applicant comes in, then you go through this, like you said, then if you have a question, then do you go to the attorney and ask him his opinion on it, or do you make the decisions, or how?
The decision, the interpretation of a line, or interpretation of the judgment of something physical, we would make that decision. If it's a case of what was our past precedent, is it a case of, case of Steve Bridge, it's like, yes, they've done things differently in the past. Does that mean it's not rule now? And in the area of the Horse Thief Bridge, we had the issue of use variance. And this is a real key item. Is that if you're doing something that isn't considered, you can't go over the 24%. And so often what can potentially be done is you can do 6 other things that will get you around something. And that's what they're trying to avoid by talking about use variance, is that we can't allow those. And in here, when we grant this variance tonight, when we talk about granting of the variance, it's very explicit that you can't do, you still have to stay below those numbers. That doesn't mean you can't demonstrate that activity. But that's just as an example of use variance. I would be talking, Sam, on that issue, but.
Explain the use variance.
Well, the use variance is that, as an example, the 24% slope would be, we don't allow that kind of a scenario. And so if we were to grant those greater than 24%, then they classify that as a use that's not allowed. So it's kind of a spin on the term use.
We've granted those in the past.
We have, and it was like, where do we go in the future? I mean, in the case.
But I don't remember having the attorney involved in those kinds of decisions.
No, then that's what I'm talking to Franklin, that's what I'm going with, is that was the one example that I can think of where I would discuss, where we have monitored. So 95% of the time, we do not.
On a use variance.
On any variances,
Right.
we only really confer with counsel when it's an interpretation of a rule that involves administration or enforcement or something along those lines, in terms of the setback requirements or what's physically occurring, we would make those.
So a setback would be a use variance as well. What's the distinction?
The distinction would be that we can grant variances to setbacks. Setback Actually, no, I would say a setback is not, in the sense that the 24% is a design issue that we just can't allow anything to exceed that number. A setback, we can certainly work around with variance, or, you know,
I
that
can't do it, you can't do a variance on any other use issue.
we can't really do a variance on greater than 24%.
That's the only one.
That's one of the biggie, it's the biggest ones.
Are there others?
Likely, but that's the one that's probably the
But you can't name,
off the cuff, I just not coming.
I'm confused about the whole concept of use.
And sorry. It's really that it's just not a buildable space that, you know, based on the fact that,
I get that one, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm confused about
well,
the
and
term use
the
variance.
use variance goes back to the subsection. So we get into the zoning, where we're given authority to develop zoning regulations. We will go back into there and we'll talk about that.
Hi,
discussion.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just, am I okay to get a building permit
Oh, yeah,
then? Or,
absolutely, sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, like,
You can,
I'm listening and I'm, you know,
yep,
taking
sorry,
it all in.
okay.
Goodbye.
I'm okay. I can get a building
good.
permit.
Yep, you're good.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Okay, bye.
Go ahead,
But, okay. it's good. Yeah.
I've got a question. It's, we did some of them. I know, these, they were bringing somebody that will have the credentials to say, I will mitigate that
Yeah.
24% by putting this wall in or something like that. And you know, how far do you go with that? You know,
Well, and
you know, if you go, can you go to 26%? Then they give it, this guy will say,
the high really is 24%. You know, in terms of needing a professional engineer
yeah,
to do so. It really, our code really isn't that good. I mean, are there other ones that do that? Yes, there are. I mean, and some of these may have been done back when were these with Crescent Township, were they with the city, or, you know, what group were they at the time, and was their rules?
can you have a variance of, what is it, you have to have 90% of buildable lot?
There's,
And then somebody's got, you know, 85%.
some of those have probably gotten pretty close, you know.
Because what, the minimum size is an acre. And 90% of that has to be
Right.
within that 24%.
Yeah, and there's that part. I mean, the thing about the one that we didn't actually deny it. He withdrew it, really was that. But I mean, and how I postured it to him, I said, I was gonna recommend to deny. And this was the reason, but I also said, as a result of that, I am willing to refund, you know, your fee. And I mean, this was Pete Peterson, you know, kind of pushed this issue. And it's like, well, we'll take a look at it and we'll evaluate it. And so we went through and brought up, you know, the various codes that apply, which are far more than just us. Minnesota Building Code starts to kick in on some of these other things. And so those were all given consideration too.
Well, and I think the other thing is, when it's a matter of interpreting the ordinance, we probably need to talk to our legal counsel. But we are the people that make the decision.
Yes.
And it's,
I mean, you know, in this case with the one building, you know, when you only got 7,000 square feet and the odds are the house is gonna be 2,000 square feet, the garage is probably gonna be 800 square feet, the septic system's probably gonna take another 1,500 square feet, the driveway's included in that, you start subtracting all that off, there's nothing left.
I had a question for you. According to our zoning ordinances, if we're at 26, we'll take the slope of 26%. Okay, it's not buildable. Then do they allow me, if I'm the one that's gonna do this, to level this off, so it's under 24%?
It's in theory, this happens a lot. It's in theory, the measurement is taken on undisturbed site.
Okay,
Now, does that happen exactly what you said? You bet. Just had one a couple months ago. They cut the bluff down and Bob Scanlon went out and said, you gotta seed this and clean this up, straighten it up, because they were ready to put a house on. You know, and I mean, what was even better was the lady was a landscaper. She goes, I compacted this site and compacted this site. She goes, and that's a perfect location for a septic system. And I'm like, nope, that's not what you do with it. You gotta leave them undisturbed, you know, so there's a lot of misunderstanding. One of the things I really try to do is get people to say, please come here, talk to us. Here's where we're coming from.
so can you tell if by going on Beacon or whatever you do, soil structure, whatever, can you tell if it's virgin land or if it's been disturbed by,
It's area.
I mean, in the last 5 years or 10 years or whatever?
Amelia did that, that one.
We have LiDAR data, so you can kind of put, if it was a minor amount of dirt work, probably not, but in the case of like cutting out the hillside.
You drove up to this one and they blew the hillside.
Well, yeah, I was just asking how you know, I'm not trying to get around the zoning, I'm.
It's a geologist.
Yeah, it's, they're. Yes, we could certainly use LiDAR, we can certainly use a number. In that case, I had to run up and drag the survey level along and measure the source.
Okay.
You'll verify. I mean, if it looks close, you know, I'm gonna give somebody the benefit of the doubt, but it's like, it's close. And Bob Scanlon, really too. I mean, we had 2 different people checking them, and we all came up with the same answer. We are.
What was the outcome?
That one, what we said was, is we will refund your,
Oh, you denied.
we basically, they withdrew it. We did not deny, they withdrew it. We said, we'll give you your money back. And, you know, okay, we'll put it in camper.
And I remember we had one down. One like that where they cut out the hillside, they put a big building on it. Do you remember that? They were talking about, and that was a similar situation. We allowed that. There was they put a sewer in it, the whole works. In that case, we allowed it. That's what confuses me. Where, you know, it sounds like there's a red line on slope. Are there red lines on other variances?
Potentially,
But we haven't enforced them. We've
there's,
granted variances
right,
all along on
yeah.
other
yeah,
issues, and I'm curious about why suddenly slopes is a red line that we can't cross, and yet we cross them with other things.
So one thing is that zoning administrator is not bound by the previous one's decisions, which is what we tell people with like the Horse Thief Bridge with originally, we were like, well, we can't explain why they did this, but our take on this now is this situation. And now coming in, there was some new information brought to light to Marty that apparently had not been checked on or for whatever reason got missed in the previous ones. And so now with this new information, we were advised to not proceed with the variances that were requested at that point in time, or to recommend denial, I suppose, of the variances that were in place at that time. So it's all based on having had new information come in.
But this
in the meantime.
group approved those variances, so it wasn't your office, we approved them as a board.
Right.
Is this relating primarily to Horse Thief Bridge, or is this?
there's a number of them that kind of
Okay.
land in this category. It's not exclusively.
Okay.
I mean, and that was why I put together a pretty big board pack trying to create the decision. Actually, one of the people from Horse Thief Bridge wanted to buy that, following up. And his exact words were, we don't disagree with your reasoning at all. we have a problem with the fact that they were approved in the past. And I'm like, well, that's not how the rules are written, and they go, we know. And.
Yeah, and I'm not picking on that one or disputing it. I'm just trying to get a feel for where you are now versus where we've been and how we go forward.
Well, and I've had experience with denying somebody access or whatever they're requesting. And the comment is, I don't like it, but I'll accept it as long as everybody else plays by that same rule.
The thing too that, you know, like in the case of Horse Thief Ridge, there's some lots up there that you call that a lot. Really? I mean, the Billy Goat couldn't stand on the side. You know, and so the percentage of the areas that's potentially buildable is just virtually nothing. You know, and Pete Peterson's view was, well, what if I put these two lots together? It was, okay, we'll give it, you know, go up there and take a look. And Billy and I went up there, took a lot of measurements, and we were like, you know, we'll see what we can put together. I mean, we weren't trying to say no to them. If anything, we were trying to say yes. We kept running into her. At the end of the day, if that one went forward, it'd be like, well, we don't even have to argue the 24% issue. We can cite 6 other items that you also did.
Problem you got up there is there's all those other homes up there that are in violation or
Well,
would be in violation if you built
and
today.
some of them
You
are,
can see those and say, hey, look what you've done here,
but
look what you've allowed.
the thing of it is, most of those have easily 30 an acre lot, 42,000 feet. They probably have 10,000 to 12,000 square feet.
I'm just saying that's the perception.
Right.
Look and see,
Absolutely
and
right.
they don't know they don't understand the rules. They look what's happened up there. And it's hard for them to accept denial. Everybody, many other homes would have had the same issue.
Would any of those homes been built before there was zoning? Or or they were always zoned?
Oh, yeah, that development was created.
Yeah, I knew they zoned it, but that
But
would have
it
been
was-
your,
What, 20 years and less?
Ballpark, yeah, and zoning came in 1967. That's not to say the rule for slopes was 1960. I'm gonna guess 1990. Probably, it probably was in place by 1990.
Yeah,
And, but at that time, yeah, it was the Crescent Township was administered.
They were granted.
But that's not to say, you know, I mean, the zoning office was considering that group variance that Aaron worked on. So, considerations.
well, and I was on the board then. And I don't know how many times I asked, are these, and they had all these lots laid out, and I said, are you saying these are buildable? Or we need to let people know they're not?
Well, and then the other issue, which is not zoning. The value of that versus it's not.
Oh, yeah.
And there have been a number of questions on that. It's like, so you're gonna refund my money and so you need to make that.
well, I guess you answered my question.
Yeah, build it.
I mean, my background is I'm actually,
I'm sorry.
my background is that I'm actually a civil engineer. So in terms of the structural stuff, things like that, so in terms of- I could go all day. on those kind of- I'm not out there to be. It's just a case of that. That's one that I just don't see how you can.
Because there are multiples or,
In that case, there were just
Yeah.
multiples on multiples.
but if someone came along with just a slope issue, nothing else, everything else conformed. Are you saying that slope is a
I mean,
is a deal
Here-
killer?
here's what I would do is, I would go to our council. I would say, they've come in with a professional engineer, geotechnical engineer, who's proposed this, he's proposed the design that's meeting chapter 18 of the Minnesota building code, and I will start to cite all these different things that, you know, here's the difference. So in other words, if they were at, say, 26%, that's one thing. If they're at 33%, that's a big different story, because all of a sudden, other things start to compound. And so if they were in that, just that,
What other things?
like, surcharging on the sides of hills, foundation design,
But you
foundation,
had an engineer report to solve the problem.
and that's what I'm getting. It's, you have,
I'm just looking at it from our point of view in terms of making decisions on things.
right.
So it's not a red line. If there's an engineering report that
we would.
check
give-
that
we would
solves
give-
those
we
challenges.
would give consideration to it, but I would probably go get a move from the attorneys and stuff like that. It's not easy. I guess that's, I'm not sure where that would go. It would take an amazing set of circumstances. You know, I mean, in this one, they were talking about, we had one that they were talking about, there was no slope and they were gonna build a bridge. They were gonna use a pre-cab bridge, jump from one part of the site to the other to get enough buildable area. And they were dead serious.
What about toe slope and all your toe?
And then you've got that too.
Well, but I mean, if someone comes in and they need a variance for one of those things and everything else is in place, is that a red line?
Probably not.
It's not.
So the
So
problem,
there are things that are not red lined. It's mostly,
there's two different variances, an area variance and.
yeah, an area variance.
And a
as an
use
example.
variance.
Is that a red line?
Area variances, like your setback variances, those are allowed. The problem with these use variances is ultimately you're granting a reduction of standards so that we can allow a use that's otherwise prohibited.
You would be doing the same thing with a area variance too.
But
That's
you're,
prohibited.
if you're asking for a variance for a reduced setback for a shed on a property,
Or how about an area variance?
that's an allowable or permittable thing, whereas if you're asking for a variance from a slope standard on the hill, that would be you can't build on like slopes over 26%, so by allowing a variance to that slope standard, it's essentially a use variance, you're allowing to use that.
I think I see.
Not-
I think I see.
I'm confused by all this, because if you're saying an area variance is okay,
And they are.
what isn't? I mean, what isn't, I'm confused by it. There are red lines on some things and red
Well,
lines.
the use variance, I think there's kind of a judgment on severity and consequences of what would happen.
So that, and you make that decision?
There's a little bit about, I mean, you guys have certainly done it too, that, you know, in the case of if the ground were saturated, like we had, you know, storms that we had. And obstructed and something slid off the hill. I mean, that certainly happened. But in terms of I guess severity of consequences of failure related to that activity is part of it in terms of, you know, and there's always the situation, you can just say somebody, okay, and this is something to remember with the use variances, that if we say yes, and then it does slide, then somebody comes back and says, wait a minute, that guy's house just hit my house. Who allowed this? You know, so that's the converse. Whereas, say it's a setback, it's just like, well, that line's too close or whatever, you know, and that kind of thing. Then they fight it out in court. And so there's a little bit of the fact.
See,
That's what worries me. The
my,
house slides away. It's our fault.
Denton Brown. My issue with it, to me, a use variance is, can I build a salvage yard here, or can I have a filling station here? Or to me, that's. The other one
That's not the
doesn't
way-
feel like a use
Well,
variance.
Right.
It's Amelia's verbiage was wonderful, is that the use variance, it's skirting around something. and how big a skirting are you doing?
We're skirting around all of the issue variance. I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, is it perfectly cut and dry? I mean, is there a judgment call that goes along with it? Sure.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, we need it. That was.
So then,
For a shed to property line. We're gonna pursue the variance, but if they, because it's something that you can do there, but if they came in and asked. I mean, to do a variance for something that's not even allowed, then we wouldn't ask. For that reduction of setback. Is that?
Good.
No.
Someone comes in for a side lot variance and the neighbors object, what do they do? What's your position on it?
We'd probably still pursue it.
I mean, is that,
But
a red
then
line?
that becomes our decision,
We
especially.
we break the news.
so now if we as a board. He was talking about the house sliding over the hill and hit. Another house. Heaven help us, it would never happen, but if it did, okay, and they take it to court. Can they sue us individually, or are we
Yes,
protected by the county?
You've got the most money, so you're the most vulnerable.
But then I will tax you and you enough so I don't have to pay. No, I'm serious.
Right, in
No,
terms
that's-
of where's the usually,
We're indemnified.
you are isolated, but as individuals, I don't know as though county is, I mean, one of the things that I've always heard this is that it's interesting is that with that kind of action, there's also, I know with state government, you have to do this with feds, they actually have to allow you to sue them. There's a concept, and those get a little more interesting, so like in a highway instance where a bad design road led to a fatality. In those instances, I think the state all has to say, we agree that you can sue us. And so I don't know as though that's the same case. Sam could elaborate on. I know that does exist.
I know in the township, the supervisors are protected.
Yeah. I think
Well,
we're covered by this.
And I think the other thing is, that's why if you go to this, they will tell you, you document why you did what you did.
So it's on
And
record.
how many times they reference, is that something a reasonable person would do? And you gotta document it, you can't be because he's my neighbor and I like him.
Yeah.
But that's, and they will stress that's why you do that.
It can't be our.
Right,
Yeah.
arbitrary and capricious, those are the big words.
Okay. I'm good.
All right,
I'm gonna make a motion, we adjourn.
Wait a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I got one more thing to talk about. Couple of months ago, when we had that guy with the apple orchard and
Brad Sand.
brought his house in and it was too close to the line, was there? I just felt we should have fined him something. I mean, he walked from that.
We did we charged them triple for the building permit, but the building permits here aren't very expensive. And so it's
How much
not,
are they?
it's not a real big step,
What's the building next to
15 cents a square.
So could we, does the board bring that up about fining them something?
Well, okay,
Or did we go to him and done it and that's all?
what we could have also done is I guess we could have charged triple. The variance, which would have been 700. Would have been 20. Could have done.
Cause I looked at this, okay, to move this building would have cost them $20,000 and I don't wanna. Charge that kind of money. But we could have fined them.
We could have went to 2,100. It would have been 1,400.
Is that the zoning's zoning's
Well-
position to do that, or is that the adjustment?
It's kind of at the time when we're doing it, but you guys can absolutely. change.
The number that they pay for,
No, it's like Wayne's talking about. If you wanna say up to triple.
you're talking about the fee for the variance.
The fee for the variance is one of the things that we can charge triple on, and then the associated building. permit for the 25, we can charge triple on both.
But in this case, there wasn't a building permit, was it?
There was.
No, it's just a variance.
It was a variance of that apple.
Then there was also, what else, there was,
Didn't have a building permit for just a small church thing.
For what?
yeah,
It
it
was
was,
just an addition.
No, that was already done. So there was a variance for that little building and then a
All
variance.
those things that are
well,
done.
there was one thing that was also.
That matter. We,
Then the sign, that's for a sign, and once we started it all.
But yeah, no, you can absolutely change. the terms. But within, you can go to triple.
struggling with the idea that our role is defined as well. Not sure about that. I'm, but
We did kind of push that on the one that was building without.
Yeah,
Suzuki or,
Yeah,
but we didn't push it to the limit.
no, we didn't push it to the limit, but we,
what did we do?
$1,000 fine for building
well,
without a
double or whatever on the.
Adam fairly
Sheet
serious.
and the variance.
I think he was gonna have to take that. But
Yeah.
That'd have been 50,000. Yeah, but
yeah, no, you can absolutely, you can. Just say, wait a minute, we don't like what you're doing here. No, This is what we're.
So my conflict is if we don't like what we're doing here, we should deny it. Instead of punishing. I don't know. That's my conflict.
And I mean, and there's. Certainly situations where something's just do need to be denied, or. What I've tried to do is to even avoid the whole premise of it in the first place, is to say, I'm gonna recommend. So you know in advance, this is what we're up. to, and this is why.
They have, in Houston County had reversed something, I remember when Rick Frank was there. There was somebody that turned a granary into a residence.
No, I don't remember.
Well, and it was, I don't know,
No.
and they
They're
made him,
making a ton of money on it too. I mean, it's booked every week. Yeah, I know that.
they made him get rid of it.
No,
Well, the one I'm referring to is they discovered that they had changed this, and what is there one now that's,
I don't know. I've
think
never heard
after-
this.
I think after 10 years, being that amount of
There's a-
time, I
There's a-
don't think you'd ever.
no, this was one that was, shortly after they did it, they discovered it, and they said, hey, you gotta tear that out.